Hey everybody, it's Brewer here at Sweetwater Fly Shop, and I figured I would just make a quick video. It's cold out. It's 1 degree on our temperature gauge over there, and it says it feels like -9. So I don't think I'll be doing any fishing today, but I figured I'd make a quick video for you guys on different flies and approaches to using these flies in the wintertime. I've basically got some streamers here, I've got some nymphs, and I've got some dries. I'll walk you through kind of what I've got, the lines and the leaders I like to use with them, as well as some ways to set them up. So first off, I've got a bunch of streamers here, some articulated, and then I've got some just kind of singles. In terms of my streamer selection in the winter, I keep it pretty simple. Natural colors, blacks and whites, grays, things like that, or yellow is always a great color on the Yellowstone. This is Jimmy's articulated bean, he calls it, and that seems to be a producer for us at the shop here all the time. But of course, you know, a Dungeon or your favorite articulated streamer in kind of more natural olive or black or white. And then I've got, for my single hook, I've just got like a black sparkle minnow. Caught a really nice fish on just a basic black sparkle minnow the other day, just swinging it on a switch rod, and just big woolly buggers, things like that. Sculpzilla for the guys who like to swing out there, as well as they have these great big cone heads on them, so you can really get them down. When I fish these flies, I'm in the winter especially, I'm fishing a really heavy aggressive sink tip because I want to be dredging the bottom in those holes. Most of the time those fish are not going to want to chase a fly as aggressively as they would in the summer when you're slapping the banks and stripping back really quick. So I like these scientific anglers lines with the intermediate down to a sink 5 instead of using a floating with a sink tip, because this is going to give you a lot better connection. You're going to get down in those deep holes. This new airflow line we've got in as well kind of has a really nice progression from out of the sink tip through the floating line versus just having a float to a sink. So that's another good option. And then if you don't have a streamer rod, you don't want to pay for a $70 streamer line or more, then a great option is, we just got in, it's a new product from Airflow, is these awesome little poly leaders. They're impregnated with tungsten, and you can get them at a bunch of different lengths, anywhere from 5 to 10 foot. This is the 8 foot super fast sink, 5 inches per second, and you could throw this on the end of your floating line on anything from a 5 weight up, and you'll be fishing a little bit more effectively in the winter at that, or you can go with a long fluorocarbon leader. Next, I've got a small selection of dries here. I have a Renegade, Parachute Adams with a high vis, and a Griffith's Gnat, just super basic dries. In the winter, I'm fishing light tippet, long leaders for those midges, so that way I'm not spooking the fish with the line. I like to fish like a presentation style leader, 11 foot, at least this one is, so 9+ feet at least, and a 5 or 6X with these flies. Keep it simple, single dry, or if you want, you can throw a big, or like a Royal Wolf, something like that up in front of it, and maybe a 14 or 12, and then trail one of these guys behind it. Or even a big Renegade would be a great one, and then trail a small midge pattern or a small Parachute Adams or a Betas behind it. Here soon we should start seeing some Betas in the next month if it warms up enough. And then for my nymphs in the winter, I think it's super important to be using fluorocarbon. So I've got my absolute fluorocarbon here from Scientific Anglers, and just a basic 9 foot. You could do a 7.5 foot, and then tie more tippet off of it, so that way you don't have your indicator way up on that thick part of the line on the butt section. So you get a better sink rate if you have it on lower diameter tippet. If you put it more mid leader on a 7.5 foot, and then add a bunch of tippet to it. And then in the winter right now, I'm just fishing stone flies. This is a staple out here in Montana. Pat's rubber legs. It's hard to beat all year. Recently I've been crushing them on just as simple as a copper john like that. It's really hard to beat. Just in a size 12 or a size 10, something to help you get some weight down, and then trailing that with I've just got a little Perdigon here and a zebra midge. And I'll give you guys a close-up of some of these flies at the end of the video. I'll take some pictures and we'll post them at the end. And then, of course, worms. I especially like squirmies. I just think even if there's not a ton of worms in the river in the winter, it's more of a lure. If you think about fishing a mop fly or something crazy like that, you can do that in the winter, but I like a squirmy because it's something a little bit more natural. It's a great way, like I discussed in one of my time videos, to get down your flies is tie some heavier squirmies and then trail something small, like a small paratagon, a beta nymph, a zebra midge behind it, and that's a great way to get out and do it. We did a video recently on the ways to fish in the winter. We just fished down by the river for a little bit and showed you guys what we were doing. We were just nymphing there, but keep in mind there's a lot of different ways to catch fish in the winter. Keep an eye out for fish eating dries. I wouldn't throw a dry unless you're seeing them really consistently eat them, and then you can target individual fish to some extent, or just put it through a run where you're seeing them eat it. But nymphing and streamer fishing are the way to go. Definitely give these new airflow tips a try, or any sink tip. We've got a variety here that you can throw on the end of your floating line and be in action for a little bit more effective streamer fishing all season long. So give these flies and hopefully a try, and hopefully these leaders and lines you can apply to your fishing and help you put a few more fish on the bank and in your net. So thanks, and I'll take some pictures for you guys and you can see exactly a little bit more close up what these flies look like. Thanks.